5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Weekend confirmed.
Ignition. Liftoff. Liftoff.
Hey everybody, it's Jeff Cannata here with 2 N's, 1 T with your question of the week. Today's question comes from Twitter. It comes from @Scodiac, which is a pretty awesome Twitter handle, I have to say. And he asks, what games have you begun playing and hated, but ended up loving by the time you finished them? It's a good question. It's hard. I was sitting thinking about this question. It's hard to remember initial hatred for things that you end up loving, because I end up just having the last feeling that I felt be the feeling that I walked away with. And so I was having a hard time thinking about it. But you know what? A lot of really big role-playing games tend to have that effect, where you start out underpowered as the weakling level 1 character, and everything's difficult, and you don't understand the system, and the world seems really big, and you just feel lost and don't understand it. And as you sort of digest all the systems involved in the game and you learn how to play it, it becomes more palatable, and you end up loving that world, and you know every nook and cranny of it. I think of recently a great example of that is Witcher 2, a game I adore, but the first couple hours of that game are brutal. I think they even released a patch recently to make the first couple hours of that game easier. Too late for me, unfortunately, because I had already progressed past them. And you die a lot at the beginning of that game. I didn't hate it. Hate is a very strong word, but I was put off to a certain extent by how I just couldn't wrap my head around what was going on. Dragon Age is another game like that. Initially, very tough to get into, but then you sort of learn more about the story and you get invested in these characters, and all those systems become second nature, and by the end I was loving it. Another game that came to mind in a very different way is FIFA. FIFA 11 was, I think, probably the first time I'd played a real FIFA game at any great length. And I was not a fan of soccer or football. And I didn't hate it, but I first sat down and I was like, what is this? This is boring. I don't like this. And as I played it more and more and more, and I played with friends, and we were getting competitive, love it. And I'm like, oh, so this is what the rest of the world has been talking about. So I love when that happens. It's all too rare when a game starts one way and ends up getting a lot better, but it's a great question, and thanks for sending it in.